Hey class, today we're going to give our final presentation on artificial intelligence with Lexi, Sean, and Alex. What we're going to cover on the topic of artificial intelligence is, first of all, what is artificial intelligence? What are some of the main historical events? What are some of the disadvantages of using AI, not only in business, but in a classroom as well? Artificial intelligence in education, tutoring systems, different models used in education, and the conclusion of our points. So first things first, what is AI? AI is the science and engineering of making intelligent machines, especially intelligent computers. It is related to the similar task of using computers to understand human intelligence. But AI does not have to confine itself to methods that are biologically observed. So that's a pretty technical definition, so I'm just going to break that down a little bit for you guys so it's easier to understand. So first of all, we're talking about intelligence. I interpret this as meaning high functioning. So these are computer programs that can systematically ingest large informations in a very short amount of time. So they are very, very high functioning, or in other words, intelligent. They can also understand human emotion to a certain degree. Obviously, they're not human, so they're not going to be able to react and have the same mental capacity as an actual person. But for instance, if you have Facebook Messenger, you can actually use something called a Facebook Messenger bot, which are run by different companies that are actually artificial intelligence and can respond and understand emotion. For instance, I decided to use one of those bots, and I started messaging it like, "I hate you, you're the worst," and it would respond and be like, "Are you mad? Are you upset? Is there something I can help you with?" So that's just an example of artificial intelligence, like understanding human emotion and coming up with an appropriate response to that. Lastly, artificial intelligence is not confined to biological constraints, meaning it doesn't need to eat or sleep. It can, work for as long as you want it to. It can stay up all night. It never needs to take a break or ingest any sort of calories. Just those type of things that as humans we have to do to survive. That is something that artificial intelligence does not. And also, we embedded a video into this, so if you want to go a bit deeper into what artificial intelligence is, that gives a really good explanation. So let's go into some disadvantages of AI. First things first, this is a very high-cost machinery, which, of course, makes it harder for people to attain. And especially when we're talking about classrooms, most school districts maybe don't have a budget to incorporate artificial intelligence, especially, or for that matter, even know how to incorporate intelligence. Secondly, like I said, it can't replicate human emotions. It doesn't have emotions or moral values. I mean, at the end of the day, it's really just a machine. So that means, like in a classroom setting, you're not going to be able to interact and have those more complex human relationships with students, which to some students, that's a very great way to encourage learning, to actually have that face-to-face sort of human emotion behind what you're teaching, to actually care about your students, which, AI is completely not capable of. They can't learn more over time like we can. It just runs the same program over and over again. Like if, you give a person a ball and ask them to throw and they have no idea how to do it, well, at first they're going to be terrible, but after a while they're going to be able to, throw the ball super well, maybe like an MLB pitcher if they really wanted to. But, that whole logic doesn't really work with artificial intelligence. They're programmed to do the same thing over and over and over again. So there's no real improvement. Lastly, there's a scare about unemployment because they're not constrained to like human things and human features that we are. Like they don't need to eat, they don't need to sleep, they can work super long hours, and it's not like inhumane. Some people are scared that they're going to start outperforming humans, and we're actually going to have more of like a robotic economy and have robots kind of running our workforce. So yeah, that's really like a like a sci-fi-esque thing that could happen, and it is concerning. And lastly, there's no personal feedback. This is just relating to how, like, if you give a person a task, they can tell you like what they did right, what they did wrong. Actual artificial intelligence isn't going to be able to do that. It just has a program. It just stays the course, and that's pretty much it.
All right, so a brief history of artificial intelligence, how World War II brought together two sciences, and it started the world of AI. So World War II brought together many disciplines of science, including emerging fields of neuroscience and computing. This was in about 1943, so towards the end of the war. Alan Turing and Gray Walter were two of the first to tackle intelligent machines. Both went on to invent tools to set in motion what we today know as AI. Walter invented the world's first mobile autonomous robots. Also, Turing concocted the experiment that shaped artificial intelligence. He thought of the problem of what if machines could think. So the Turing test was a way to determine if a machine was capable of thinking, and each of these scientists played a big role in AI as we know it today. In 1956, where the term artificial intelligence came from. John McCarthy came up with this term 2 years after Turing's untimely death. In 1973, the beginning of the AI winter. So the AI winter was millions of dollars had been spent on research for AI, and there was little to show for it. So a professor, Sir James Layton-Hill, gave a damning report on the state of AI, and this caused all funding for AI to be non-existent and causing the beginning of AI winter. In 1981, the end of the AI winter came, which everyone realized, the industry realized that AI's commercial value. This started attracting new investments and bringing forward new potential for AI. And how it's changed over the years. AI has changed so much since the beginning of it in 2002. The first home robot was invented, the Roomba, and since then AI has become a lot more advanced, such as war machines for the army, voice recognition on smartphones, and other technologies. There's also dancing robots and even automated cars. And then in this picture over here, as you'll see, there's a robot playing chess, which was a big feat. And then this is just a short video on AI in the classroom leading into what Alex will be talking about next. So if you want to pause the video and watch it.
Okay, the next I will be talking about artificial intelligence in education and the grand challenges that were laid out by Wolf in a essay. The grand challenges are that there are virtual mentors for every learner. So creating mentors for every learner requires research into how people learn. Now, this is known as learning sciences, And learning sciences address how people learn and how to promote learning in real world situations, such as how to capture learners' attentions, keep them engaged with the content, and know how to promote the learning of difficult concepts, and how to teach these students to take advantage of social aspects that they encounter in the classrooms. So the major challenge is creating a computer that can do all the things that I've listed for every learner. According to the article, AI Grand Challenges for Education, current intelligence instructional software can support collaboration and personalized instructions to match learners' traits. And then they go on to say that in general, many intelligence systems today are able to reason about students' cognition, their metacognition, their emotion, and their motivation. And as data mining processes become more rigorous, intelligence systems will be more effective at being able to create a virtual mentor for every learner. And the second grand challenge laid out in the AI Grand Challenges for Education was addressing 21st century skills. Now, this challenge deals with the idea that 21st century workers require entirely different skill sets than people of previous centuries. These skills include cognitive skills, interpersonal skills, as well as intrapersonal skills. And according to the Committee on Defining Deeper Learning in the 21st Century Skills, these new skills require educators to make rapid revisions on what is taught. and how it is presented to take advantage of changing technologies. Now, because current intelligent software cannot learn, as Sean has covered, it cannot adapt to the ever-changing curriculum unless it is constantly updated, which can be extremely time-consuming as well as expensive. The third challenge facing AI in education is analysis of interaction data. Now, what this challenge speaks about is how to figure out types of data about the students that can benefit their learning, and how to use that data correctly. Now, although there is currently analysis of data from students that is being used in intelligent software, many argue the process is incomplete. The authors of the AI Grand Challenges for Education argue that we need analysis of systems thinking, critical thinking, self-regulation, and active listening. They go on to further to state that data analysis should move across individual tutoring systems, games, classes, and so on to evaluate the students' general competencies across several fields. Creating intelligent systems capable of utilizing data correctly do exist, but they must be improved. And now the fourth challenge, providing opportunities for global classrooms. Now this challenge was laid out in a global meeting on artificial intelligence in the 1980s. And the idea is to provide learning that is universal, inclusive, and available at any time and anywhere, and is also free to anyone in the world. Now, there are currently some smaller iterations of this idea, large open classrooms that are offered for free. However, these classes offer minimized personal learning, which is essential to like a proper education system. Now, the goal of this problem is to develop cyberspace into a collaborative and cognitive supportive learning environment. And this would be difficult to achieve due to the fact that languages and cultures differ so widely over the entire world. And fifth and last challenge is lifelong and life-wide learning. Now, this is the idea that education must adapt to promote to the joys of learning and provide authentic opportunities that blur the distinction between learning and just living life. AI fits in this challenge by providing resources for people to interact with as they're going about their daily lives. AI systems would need to encourage learning as opposed to just supporting education or educating people on specific topics. And so the only iteration that we have currently that is mainstream of artificial intelligence inside education are intelligent tutoring systems. Now, an intelligent tutoring system is a system that must behave intelligently and must not actually be intelligent like a human. And intelligent tutoring systems are intended to provide customized learning to the individuals, and the customization of the knowledge by the intelligent tutoring system is based on several factors. These factors include pre-existing knowledge, learning style, the student's progress through the content material. So how do intelligent tutoring systems work? Intelligent tutoring systems contain several models that interact with one another: the content model, the student model, and the pedagogical model. Now, the content model contains the content, obviously, as the name implies. The content model contains a web-like mapping of material to be learned. And then this model also defines the prerequisites for content and dependencies between the elements of content. And the reason it's like a web mapping is that if a student is able to know one piece of content, then that will map them to more content. And if they don't know it, then it will map them to different content. And so the student model, this model is unique to each learner and works with the content model to record what the student understands and what they do not understand and how they go about understanding it. And the pedagogical model this includes the methods of delivering instruction to the learner. Now, the instruction is based on the other two models and how they interact with one another. Most intelligent tutoring systems begin with an assessment of the student to determine what level they are at in any given course. Once the intelligent tutoring system knows the level of the student knowledge, it updates the student model accordingly, and the system then compares what the student needs to know with what they already know. After this comparison is made, the system then delivers the appropriate instruction based on the level the student is at and what they need to learn. Assessments are embedded within the instruction so that the system can adjust the model accordingly depending on where the student is at. Are intelligent tutoring systems professional? Effective, excuse me. There is some research that support this. The Carnegie Learning Corporation is an example of an effective intelligent tutoring system. They reported that students using their algebra system performed 85% better on assessments of complex problems than those who did not.